A tenured professor tells students to stay the F away from him. 5 former students file a federal lawsuit against prestigious universities for participating in a financial aid price-fixing cartel. And colleges and universities use MLK Day to push their radical agendas. We have all the details on these stories and more. I'm Abigail Streetman, and this is Campus Countdown. In our number 3 story of the week, colleges are using MLK Day to push critical race theory and Dems-backed voting legislation. Dartmouth College brought Robert S. Harvey to campus to give the keynote speech for their series of MLK events. Harvey is the author of Abolitionist Leadership in Schools: Undoing Systemic Injustice Through Communally Conscious Education. Western Washington University hosted another famous critical race theory author, Ibram X. Kendi, who is famous for popularizing critical race theory. And they will also be holding a series of events promoting the Democrat-sponsored election legislation that is currently being considered in Congress. The 1619 Project author, Nicole Hannah-Jones, gave a keynote speech at Northwestern University, and Emory University hosted Bobby Seale, founding chairman of the Black Panther Party, who has also been accused of ordering the death of another Black Panther. He has also been inspired by Black nationalist Malcolm X. Martin Luther King promoted unity and equality, not equity, and I find it impossible to believe that Dr. King would have supported this holiday being used for such shallow purposes. Our generation can and must reject the idea of polarizing holidays that are meant to celebrate the progress that we have made as a country. In our number 2 story of the week, students file price-fixing cartel financial aid lawsuit against 16 prestigious universities. Here with all of the details on that story is Campus Reform correspondent Jahani King.
Thank you, Abby. A federal lawsuit on behalf of 5 former students was filed in Illinois, taking aim at more than a dozen elite colleges and universities, accusing the institutions of collaborating to violate antitrust laws, as well as unfairly limiting financial aid awards for students. The Ivy League schools mentioned are Yale, Brown, Columbia, Cornell, Dartmouth College, and the University of Pennsylvania. Georgetown, Duke, and MIT are also included on the list. More than 170,000 former undergraduate students who received partial financial aid at those schools, going back up to 18 years, could be eligible to join the suit as plaintiffs, the Wall Street Journal reported. The lawsuit reads, "These elite institutions occupy a place of privilege and importance in American society, and yet these same defendants, by their own admission, have participated in price-fixing cartels that is designed to reduce or eliminate financial aid as a locus of competition, and in fact has artificially inflated the net price of attendance for students receiving financial aid. The average price of college in the US has more than doubled in the past 20 years, and it hurts everyone, especially working middle and lower class families who may be trying to send their child to college for the first time. If the claims in the lawsuit prove to be true, the implications would be heartbreaking. Imagine working your whole life to get into an Ivy League school and not being able to go because someone less in need was given your financial aid.
Thank you, Jahani. So in our number 1 story of the week, Ferris State professor calls in-person students vectors of disease. Campus Reform has the report that a tenured professor at Ferris State University in Michigan has been placed on leave following a published video in which he calls his students selfish kids who don't give a S whether or not grandpa lives or dies for choosing to attend class in person. The professor used a surplus of obscene and vulgar language that you can watch on the Campus Reform website, but I'm not going to include all of that here. In this video, he stated that none of his students are good enough to earn an A in his class, so he randomly assigns grades on the first day. He continued by saying that that is how predestination works, and don't come effing complaining to me. He then blamed God for the creation of predestination. The professor continued to rant about how students put his life in danger by coming to class, and how he has made all of his assignments available online so that students don't have to come in person. He further stated that he is retiring at the end of the year, so he doesn't give an F whether or not his students complain. He claimed that the helmet he's featured wearing, which looks like an upside-down fishbowl, is about $300, and he wears it to save his life. The point of taking in-person classes is to actually go to class and learn. The online learning environment would be completely universal right now if we believed that that is the best method of learning. But we know that most students prefer in-person learning because of the interaction and the lack of distractions. The CDC and Dr. Fauci have changed their mind on everything from masks to quarantine periods, and obviously it leads people to believe they are untrustworthy. It also creates situations like this, and where an individual is terrified of other people. This professor is so scared to be around his own students and will probably be wary of interacting with people normally in public for a long time, if not the rest of his life. Imagine being a young adult in your formative years and you are screamed at by a professor telling you that the air you breathe is dangerous. That can have lasting impacts. And now for everyone's favorite segment, the woke tweet of the week. This week we have a California gender and sexuality professor who believes that sex is also a social construct. The tweet reads, "Stop teaching that sex is biological and gender is social. Sex is also a social construct. We assign meanings to certain things, hormones, chromosomes, genitals, because of dominant gender ideologies. Read Sexing the Body." Thank you. Well, no thank you. I would prefer not to read a book that has any made-up constructs, but often we see progressive academics drawing a distinction between gender and sex in order to position gender as a subjective construct. But this professor is taking the transgender ideology to the next level. As a biology major and someone who genuinely enjoys science, I am actually offended by this. I believe if you asked any researcher or surgeon or medical doctor, that they would laugh at this statement. This is not science. And we separate women's bodies from men's bodies when we learn about them in a textbook. We separate female animals from male animals in almost every category because their bodies are different. Hormones are not a construct. Hormones are science. And a popular mindset that is prevalent here and around my generation is that we all have our own truth and we must accept everyone despite how wrong their actions may seem to us. But this way of thinking has major consequences, and as shown through this professor's tweet, it can alter what people think reality really is. This is not reality, this is anti-science, and it's terrifying that this professor is educating young minds as we speak. Those are all the top stories we have for you this week. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and leave a like down below. You can follow along with all of the campus craziness on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Campus Reform. I'm Abigail Streetman.
And I'm Johanny King.
Thanks for watching. See y'all next time.